So for 14 years, I've been riding dominantly big bikes. I've tried dirt bikes, I've tried mid-sized dual sports, but mostly I've been riding the big bikes. And I've been on one brand for 14 years. I've been on BMWs. Great bikes, I love them. But in 2024, I decided to make a change. You might be surprised at what I chose. I chose the Husqvarna Norden 901 Expedition model. So the three things I looked for when going for a different bike was a little better performance off-road. This definitely is going to give that. Good road manners. Heated grips, cruise control, heated seat, nice windscreen, good protection. I still want to be able to lay down 500 or 600 miles of pavement to get to where I want to go. I want to travel on this thing for a couple weeks at a time. And I want a motorcycle that's easy for me to maintain. I'm not a mechanic, but I want to easily be able to maintain my air filter, change my oil. So I was looking for better off-road performance. I have no doubt this is going to deliver that. The suspension here, I can dial it in for myself. And this has got the KTM 890R Adventure suspension. My experience on the 1200 or the 1250 class of BMWs has been electronic suspension the whole time. I owned a 2013 GS Adventure all the way up to the 2019 GS Adventure I have now. And the push button suspension is great for a lot of things. It really works well. But when I want to ride really aggressive in some choppier spots and use the suspension, it's not quite there. Interestingly enough, on the old model it was, on the newer models it's not. And it's just kind of going away. So going to this bike, it's going to be really nice to dial in the suspension and really get it set up for me. When I was thinking about what bike to buy, the 1290R definitely entered my mind, and I might buy one of those someday. It's a little bit lighter than the 1250 GS. The other one I just rode recently was the Ducati V4S and the V4S Rally. Awesome bikes, definitely a little heavier than the GS. Nothing wrong with that. Yes, the Norden is lighter than the big GSs I've been riding for 14 years. It's still a big, heavy bike. What I'm interested to find out is how it carries its weight differently. So I just bought this bike yesterday. I just got on it this morning. I'm really looking forward to throwing it around for the next week.
Three days later.
So I just got this bike 4 days ago, and I absolutely love it. I removed the rubber inserts from the foot pegs. I rolled the bars forward for a more comfortable position for me. I removed the rear side racks and added my own rear rack and luggage. And I also set the sack. Compared to the GS, this is still a heavy bike. It's definitely lighter, but the weight is carried in different places. The off-road performance of this motorcycle is fantastic. The suspension is a dream. I set the sag, and that's all I've done so far, and it's handling great. I was really surprised at how good the low end is. I was crawling up hills just to see how much tractor I could get out of this thing. It tractored way better than I expected. Also, the traction control electronics adjustments are fantastic. I'm really learning to dial those in. It's great. So off-road, this is a fantastic bike. The first thing I noticed when I got off-road trying to steer this bike by pushing on the foot peg and throwing it into a corner, not as quick as the GS. On the plus side, when you take this thing through the big rocks and it's dancing all over, you got a lot of grace when your feet are moving all over those pegs. With all the off-road riding that I do, I was considering getting crash bars, but I took a big hit today and the bike came out pretty good. I'm not sure that I need them. So to be perfectly honest with you guys, there is one thing about this bike that I'm going to write a letter to Husky. I'm going to put it up on my social media. I may even go back to the dealer, and any of my friends that have a Husky, I'm going to talk to them about it, because these heated grips, on high are not even close to hot enough. Man, I could ride this thing barehanded on these high heated grips. Come on.
You have buyer's remorse.
I do not have buyer's remorse at all. This thing's fantastic. I've only owned this bike for 4 days, and I've got a lot to learn about it, but we're off to a great start.